What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Nicotina Show. I'm joined by Sean, also known as Nerd Cosa Nostra. Sean, we're getting ready for episode 7 of Xmen 97. And yes, we weren't live last week. I was stuck at work and I couldn't get out. But I thought that episode 6, Life and Death Part 2, was actually really good. And I really enjoyed it. And we also saw that Storm did get her powers back. And it was, a lot of us kind of figured that it was going to be a case where she'd have to face her fears and overcome them in order to, kind of gain her powers back. So that's kind of what happened here. And I thought that was fine. I mean, like, look, it wasn't the most original way of doing it, but I thought it worked. And really, the technology that Forge had, I guess, did or didn't have an effect on her getting her powers back. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it did, but she had to unlock them somehow.
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't what we expected as far as her getting her powers back. We were expecting something, whether it was going to be Cable, Bishop, something that would come back, some technology, she'd get it back. But yeah, she ended up believing in herself. Let's just put it that way. But one thing that I'm not sure if you realized or noticed was, and I had to do a rewatch for it to kick in, that really wasn't the real adversary that we know from the comics. That was just a projection. Like it was in her mind. It was a manifestation of adversary. Because if you remember back in episode 2, when she was talking to what we thought was Jean, and really wasn't Jean, she had mentioned, "Oh, I wonder what it would be like to be a human," and that kind of kick-started this mentally to say, "I don't want to be a mutant anymore. I want to be a human," which then leads us down this path of now she starts to want to have her powers back. She starts to believe in herself more, and then we see her get her powers back. And then I know we saw her, change into her costume, does this epic flight scene, at least what
everybody's like, "Oh, epic. It's like Man of Steel, Man of Steel." And then the creators were like, "Yeah, that we were inspired by Man of Steel." Like, oh, okay,
yeah.
That kind of killed the everyone who was ranting and raving. Once they said that, it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
that was
okay,
like,
no big deal.
No big deal.
I mean, I think within the first few hours, I think of people seeing that scene, it was Man of Steel. That's all. We weren't even talking about Xmen anymore. It was just Man of Steel reference.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
But so she gets her powers back. She has her black outfit, which looked really, really cool. But what I love so much about the episode was that we dove straight into the Shar Empire and what Xavier has been doing out in outer space. And I'm sorry, but as an X-Men fan growing up, it's I was so happy to see the Shar Empire, in this animated series. I was like, oh my god, there's such a huge presence in Uncanny X-Men, especially the older comics too. It was nice to see them represented in the animated series. We got to see Gladiator. We got to see Lalandra's sister. I forgot her. What was her name? She has a very generic name. It's like Death Eagle or some shit. Or,
Deathbird.
Deathbird. That's what it is. Yeah. I always remember thinking, I was like, it's a very generic name. What's up, Hunter Iggy? And she has her own team, obviously, like her own little her group. And if I'm not mistaken, Vulcan, who is actually a half brother to Scott Summers, is in that group. Which they may touch on later, they may not. It may have just been like an Easter egg, but we'll see what they do with that. But I like seeing the Shar Empire. He got to use his mental ability to show the council, what he's capable of and how what they're doing is wrong. And then he gets that connection that all these mutants were dying, and he's like, "Oh my god!"
Well, and what started that was the glow. If you I don't know if you noticed the globe behind him. It was like you would see like in an elementary school, like one of those globes that used to be on the desk in every classroom. It caught fire, and that's kind of what sparked his what's going on, because all of them when they were sitting at the desk all turned into skeletons, and then this big giant image, or not image, but like an Ant-Man type size Gambit showed up, and then same thing happened to him. He turned into a skeleton, and I think that's when Xavier realized, oh shit, what's going on, Genosha, right?
People
So,
are dying.
yeah, people are dying.
And he was set on staying there. He was set on, proving that he deserved to be Lalandra's husband and all that. And then he was like, yo, I gotta go. I gotta fucking go. People are
He's like,
dying
peace
right
out.
now. Yeah, he's like, I gotta get out of here. And he was hell-bent on getting the fuck out of there.
But I mean, when we saw at that point, I think maybe people, I don't think we're surprised, but we're glad to see that Xavier was in fact alive, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we knew he was alive. We knew he was alive because at the end of the original,
we knew he was alive,
series,
but we didn't know he was
left with her.
But we didn't know he was gonna show up this season, though. We thought this season would play out, or at least I thought it could play out, and then he'd show up in season 2. Now that Magneto's dead. And then he'd come back in season 2, right? But yeah, I mean, obviously he's coming back. But I question whether or not he was actually going to go through with it, because obviously watching the episode the first time, didn't know he was going to use his powers to then be able to see what had happened as far as directly to the X-Men, like Gambit dying, right?
Right.
So yeah, but I thought he was going to go through with it. He's going to wipe his brain. That was it. Peace out. We're gonna take a different path with this show instead of the comics, and that didn't happen. So
let's see, is it up yet? It is not yet. Okay, I'm a little early, so but no, so far I've really enjoyed this series. I've enjoyed just seeing more X-Men, which we haven't seen. There is word that later this year they're going to start production of a live action X-Men. I've been hearing rumors that we may get an X-Men movie, before Secret Wars. And I thought that was interesting because I thought what they were going to do was just rehash the Fox X-Men. And then after Secret Wars, do like a soft reboot where you get a whole new X-Men. But because, I mean, you have Hugh Jackman coming back for Deadpool and Wolverine, but it makes me wonder if Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is going to stick around past Deadpool Wolverine. And right now it's kind of feeling like it's maybe not, because of the fact that they announced a live action X-Men movie. We still don't know his background, though. We still don't know where he comes from. In the trailer, it did talk about how in his world he completely failed his world.
Correct.
So
and then when they bring him into that office and he's laying on the ground, I can't remember the character's name, but it's the one that Deadpool was talking to when he first got pulled in.
Yeah.
And he says, this Wolverine failed. Like, okay,
yes.
So that kind of implies then we could see, obviously, we've always speculated, more than one Wolverine. And could we see the new Wolverine that would go forward playing the character?
And we could. That might be a factor. I don't think we will, but
I don't think we will. But it definitely, I mean, just the statement of this Wolverine failed,
right? And I think what they're doing is they're setting up the point that there's many different Wolverines, and so the one you're going to get in. And I still believe the Wolverine that we are going to get. And so you think about it this way, right? So it kind of makes me wonder if the MCU might do two things. One, we know that the X-Men and mutants exist on that other world that we saw at the end of the Marvels, right?
Yep.
So are they going to do something where it's like you're going to have two different worlds? One world that we see now, which is, Earth 616 in the MCU, and we're going to get another world where the X-Men and the mutants exist. So as a way of saying, okay, so we have 616, and then we have the other world that has all the X-Men and mutant characters, and that's where they live, so that they don't have any kind of crossover because, they didn't exist with each other. Or are they going to basically have two worlds and then have them combine together after Secret Wars? Are they going to, kind of blend them together, or are they always going to keep them separate? So that but to me, that's kind of confusing, but
well, isn't the same thing even in speculation for the Fantastic Four, that they're part of they will start off in a completely separate universe or world, and how are they going to even introduce them into the MCU? So
well, and like the example that I used to show two separate universes, but this is a bad example too, is when the WWE bought WCW. They all of a sudden turned it.
We're going to use a wrestling reference here.
This is the best I can come up with. they had half of the league on Monday Night Raw, and the other half of the league was on Thursday Night SmackDown. And then they had two different. So each show represented that like half of the of their wrestling universe. So that's what I'm saying. Like, is it going to be where we're going to have Earth 616 and Earth whatever that we saw at the end of the Marvels as the X-Men mutant universe? And we're just going to see two different stories happening in both worlds.
I don't think so. I don't think we will.
I think initially we are, and then I think that they're going to find a way to combine both of those worlds together.
I'm speaking more to the latter.
Yeah.
I think the end result or the end goal of this, especially them even purchasing Fox and now having the rights to these characters, is to start introducing them and bringing them into the fold.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they would love to even do that with Spider-Man and Incredible Hulk, right? But they can't.
Yeah.
I mean, this is I think we've been waiting a long time for the Fantastic Four to be done right. Hope they do it right this time. And I think we're all itching to see a new version of X-Men, a little bit more closely tied to the comics, the animated series, right? Now, I mean, what we've seen thus far in previous live action films has been, I mean, for the time that they were released, we're decent, we're good, but I don't want to see that same type of iteration again. I want to see something a little bit more closely, like what we're going to see in Deadpool Wolverine. We're seeing Wolverine in a suit very similar, not exact, but very similar to what we would have seen him in an animated series or a comic book. So.
And so, guys, in just a few minutes, we're going to be watching X-Men 97. If you want to follow us onto the watch party, definitely watch us on X or watch us over on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, this stream will end in just a few minutes, but you can join us and keep with us over on X and on Twitch. And then, of course, once the episode's over, we're going to go live again on YouTube to talk about what happened in the episode, doing kind of a post show. I thought for a minute, because in the comics, when this attack happened on Geonosia, it was all orchestrated by Cassandra Nova. And so I thought that there's a chance that this could connect to Cassandra Nova, who may end up being the same Cassandra Nova that we see in X-Men or in Deadpool and Wolverine. But as it turns out, it comes back to Mr. Sinister. And he revealed that at the end of the last episode that he was the one behind the entire attack and setting everything up.
Ultimately, he was the one behind it, but he manipulated Bolivar to activate the Master Mold, which then did the attack. But ultimately, it all tied back to Sinister. Yep.
And again, I think that he's trying to find a way to get Cable to come back, and he really did. Cable showed up.
He showed up, but I mean, we're down now to what the final 4 episodes after tonight we'll have the 3-parter for I guess like a 3-parter finale. Yeah. So I mean, unless they're going to do something with Cable somewhere in there, we may not even see him till season 2.
That's it, man. Okay, it's up right now. We're going to go watch X-Men 97. And before we go, here's a message from our sponsor, PowerBrandSystems. And let's take a look at this real quick before we head off to go watch X-Men 97.
Ready to generate more leads from your website, Google, and your social channels without having to spend money on ads? Our platform provides you with an easy-to-use communication stream that sucks in free leads from your website, Google, Facebook, and Instagram, enabling you to reply and convert them into customers from your computer or from our mobile app. We'll even turn your inbound calls into text message conversations, so you'll never miss another lead again. Once you've converted a satisfied customer, you can shoot them a Google review request with a click of a button, which will explode your positive reviews and increase your position in search engines. The system will also pull new reviews from Google and Facebook right into your conversation stream, where you can read and reply. Jumpstart your business by getting started today.
And guys, use the referral code in the description below. If it's not there, we'll be there in a little bit. And use promo code 300POWER to save up to $300 on your first purchase of PowerBrandSystems. Guys, we're going to go watch X-Men 97. We will see you over on Twitch or on X, and we'll be back on YouTube for the post show. So, guys, thank you for watching, but now it's time for some X-Men 97. So let me go ahead and end this stream